In the year 1080, in the powerful Christian kingdom of León and Castile, a daughter was born to King Alfonso VI and Queen Constance of Burgundy. Her name was Urraca. From birth, her blood was thick with royal lineage, Spanish on her father's side, French on her mother's. She was never meant to rule, but fate and ambition had other plans. Urraca's childhood was anything but tender. Groomed for marriage, not power, she was a political bargaining chip. Her first marriage was arranged when she was just a teenager. The groom? Raymond of Burgundy, an ambitious noble with his eye on more than just her hand. Together they had a son, Alfonso Raymondez, but their marriage was about politics, not affection. Raymond's ambitions grew, but so did Urraca's awareness. She began to see through the polite facades of diplomacy. When Raymond died in 1107, she was widowed in her 20s, and the Game of Thrones began in earnest. With no legitimate male heirs old enough to rule, her father named Urraca his successor. It was unprecedented, unforgivable to some. A woman on the throne? When Alfonso VI died, Urraca became the first reigning queen of León and Castile. But her reign was immediately challenged. Nobles bristled, bishops panicked. Her gender wasn't just controversial, it was political heresy. So to stabilize the realm, the church and her advisors forced a second marriage. Her new husband, Alfonso I of Aragon, known ominously as the Battler. The marriage was doomed from the start. Alfonso the Battler was no Prince Charming. He was a warlord, brutal, controlling. He didn't want a partner, he wanted dominion. He demanded she cede control of her lands to him. She refused. He tried to imprison her. She escaped. What followed wasn't a royal marriage, it was civil war. Urraca, now labeled both adulteress and usurper by the church for resisting her husband, fled to Galicia. There, she raised her banner. She gathered troops. And against all odds, she turned the tide. She fought her husband on the battlefield and in court. She won back territory, loyalty, and power. But the war left scars on her kingdom, her court, and herself. The annulment was slow and messy. Meanwhile, her authority was undermined daily. Enemies claimed she was sleeping with bishops, poisoning rivals, or possessed by demons. One monk wrote that she was a woman with the will of Satan and the face of a saint. Her answer? She donned armor, led armies, and imprisoned those who dared betray her. But as Urraca fought off foreign kings and clerical plots, her greatest threat grew in silence. Her son, Alfonso Raymondez. Raised by nobles who loathed Urraca's power, he was molded into her opposite, obedient to the church, proud of his masculinity, and dangerously ambitious. He believed the throne was his birthright. She believed he wasn't ready. Their clash was inevitable. In 1111, he made his move. Backed by rebellious lords, Alfonso raised an army and declared himself king. His mother crushed the rebellion. Then he rose again, a mother and son fighting not behind closed doors, but in blood-soaked fields. For 10 years, Spain was torn by a war between a queen who refused to yield and a son who refused to wait. Eventually, a fragile compromise was brokered. Urraca named Alfonso co-ruler, but she retained real power. He could wear the crown beside her, but not command without her. It was humiliation masked as honor. And for Alfonso, it was intolerable. He began to plot, not on the battlefield, but in the shadows. Urraca, meanwhile, was exhausted. Decades of war, betrayal, and exile had worn her down. She rarely appeared in public. Her once vibrant court was filled with whispers and fear. Her letters from this time speak of pain, isolation, and an ominous sense that all doors have narrowed. According to a chilling monastic chronicle discovered centuries later, it was around 1125 when the final betrayal began. Alfonso, desperate to rid himself of his mother without incurring the sin of open murder, turned to the clergy. With the help of rogue priests and bishops in his pocket, he began forging documents. The forged letters claimed Urraca was practicing witchcraft, that she cavorted with demons, that she poisoned priests, that she plotted to deliver the kingdom to Muslim invaders. Absurd on their face, but in medieval Europe, such lies could justify anything, even filicide. Soon, strange monks arrived in León, barefoot, pale, chanting. They marched to the palace and demanded that Urraca's chambers be exorcised, that the queen be cleansed. She refused. The clergy declared her unclean. The people were told she had brought a curse on the land. Then came the night of betrayal. Her guards vanished. Her allies were assassinated. Her ladies-in-waiting disappeared. And Urraca was seized, not in public, but in secret. She was bound in gold chains, hooded, and taken to an ancient and used tower. A place no one visited. A place no one would hear screams. There, the wall was built, stone by stone, mortar sealing the air. A living tomb. No trial. No announcement. No funeral. Just silence. Some say she screamed for hours. Others say she stared at her son, eyes burning, until the last stone sealed her fate. 3 days later, the masons were paid. They never spoke of it again. Official records say she died of illness in 1126. But there was no funeral, no tomb, no mention in the royal necrologies. Just a cold line in the cathedral ledger. And thus, peace was restored. Alfonso VII became sole king. Powerful, revered, but never once did he speak her name again. His reign was glorious, on the surface. He expanded territories, built castles, strengthened ties with the church. But Spain, they say, never knew peace. Famines came, plagues spread, children died in the womb, mothers wailed in the streets. In León, the people whispered, "She walks at night, the walled queen." Folk tales bloomed like weeds. A mason went mad after hearing knocks behind the tower wall. A servant found a silver comb in an empty room. A knight claimed to see a ghost in armor on the parapets. And always, 3 soft knocks. 1, 2, 3, then silence. Always silence. The church tried to bury these tales. Alfonso's heirs outlawed her memory. But legends don't die. They evolve. Urraca became La Emperadora, the walled one. The woman who defied kings, husbands, sons, and priests, and paid the price. Mothers told their daughters, "Be obedient, or end up behind the wall." 21. Centuries later, Queen Isabella of Castile found herself drawn to Urraca's tale. She called her a woman born before the world deserved her. But even Isabella did not honor her openly. The fear was still too fresh. Power, when held by a woman, remained a threat, even in memory. In the 1800s, a Vatican scholar uncovered forbidden letters buried in church archives. They referenced the Queen entombed without sacrament. He published them in a banned book titled La Reina Sepultada Viva. It was burned. He was excommunicated. But one copy survived, and in it, a sketch. A woman's face, eyes wide, behind stone. Today, the ruins of that tower still stand in León. Ivy-covered, cracked. Tourists walk by, unaware. But some locals will not speak her name at night. They say if the wind hits the stones just right, you can hear her breath. Her whisper. 3 soft knocks. So what do we make of Queen Urraca? Was she a tyrant? A madwoman? Or a visionary too dangerous for her own world? Did her son kill a monster? Or silence a mirror? Her story forces us to ask, what happens when a woman refuses to yield in a world built to crush her? This isn't just history. It's a warning, a pattern, a legacy. Urraca's wall is not just made of stone. It's in every system that punishes female power. In every silence carved by fear. In every history book that mentions her name with caution, or not at all. Now you know her story. So ask yourself, if your child had the power, would they wall you in? Or would they remember you as the queen you dared to be? Because sometimes, history doesn't bury the truth. Sometimes, it seals it behind stone.